Shelley Taylor Ryan, and this is Mainly Unspoken. Today our guest is Robert Schulz, who is visiting us through the phone. Welcome, Bob.
Hi, great to be with you again.
Well, it's great to have you back. Listen, I'm really excited about this new project that you have going that's going to be happening on Monday. Can you tell us a little about it?
Sure. We're launching something at the National Press Club, something called Operation Enduring Patriotism.
Well,
and at the heart of the operation is a statute and a draft, soon to be law in every state, which would require the teaching of the history, meaning, effect, and significance of every single provision of the Declaration of Independence and the U.S. Constitution and even the state constitutions. The teaching of this K through 12, so that we inculcate our children with the true meaning, the basis of our freedom.
Now, what do you mean by inculcate?
Well, it means teaching through repetitiveness.
Okay. And we don't have that
repetition. They need, there's a lesson that can be prepared for the very young, and then as they grow older, the content of the lesson changes, but basically all the lessons are about the history and the meaning of our fundamental principles, the principles that upon which our system of governance is really based.
And why do you think it's so important for the average school child to learn in a deep sense what the Declaration of Independence means in the state and the U.S. Constitution?
Well, we need, if we're going to, well, first of all, citizens. It's up to the citizens to defend the Constitution, to defend their individual rights. After all, the Constitution just sits there, right? There it is on your shelf. It doesn't defend itself. So all of these rights, freedoms, and liberties that we have inherited from the generations before us are vulnerable. They're vulnerable to attack by, believe it or not, our government. As Ronald Reagan once said, government is the enemy of freedom. Government gets down to people, and people sometimes often, they think they're doing the right thing, the best thing, but in fact, when you get right down to it, their actions often infringe upon the rights, the inalienable rights of their citizens, of the country's citizens. We've seen this happen time and time again through history, and it can happen right here. If people are not vigilant, don't understand what their rights are, then how can they defend them? And if they can't defend them, they're going to lose them.
That's right, and perhaps the people in government, they don't even understand what our rights are.
Well, that's right, because they're like anybody else. They put their pants on the same way we do. Mm-hmm. They were educated in pretty much the same schools as the rest of us. Mm-hmm. And the civics, civic education, has been getting short shrift. All the emphasis, of course, has been put on mathematics and science and language, and as important as those things are to the future of the children, and as important as those things are to the future of the country, what is more important to the future of the child and the country than liberty, our liberties? And so we need to do a much better job of teaching of civic education. Civic illiteracy is a domestic enemy,
yes,
and it's been growing. As generations and as time has gone on, we have gotten further and further away from teaching the true meaning of our freedoms.
Now, in this time period, people are raising flags now. They're saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I mean, with what's going on with the war, do you think this is a really good time to introduce people or get them back into learning what their liberties are?
It's probably a really good time. I mean, God bless the flag wavers. It's really wonderful to see all the flags and so forth. But Let's face it, a lot of these folks exhibiting this patriotism, the patriotism that they're exhibiting is no more than flag deep. It's cosmetic. They really, don't have a firm understanding, a firm belief in these underlying principles. They don't know what they are. They don't know unless you've studied the history and the meaning and the effect and the significance, and you're able to apply those concepts, the concept of the right to petition for a redress of grievances, the concept of privacy, the concept of property rights.
But we're losing
unless you can apply those concepts to our everyday life and what's going on, every day, people are able to, slip something by us that infringes upon those rights. I think we're seeing some of that now as the government responds to the terrible acts of September 11th. I would argue, many are arguing, including myself, that they've gone a little bit too far in the anti-terrorism, in adopting the Anti-Terrorism Act. Do we really want the rights that you and I enjoy to having this telephone conversation and the emails that you and I may have sent back today, totally private? Do we really want that right infringed? Do we want the government to be able to know everything you and I are saying to one another?
Well, I certainly don't.
Through the emails? No. We're innocent. We're not terrorists. And so why infringe upon the rights of all the innocent people because of a few criminals?
But people are going along with it. They're saying, okay, if the government will keep me safe, I'm willing to give up these rights.
Well, yeah, they're willing to give up some essential liberties for some purported security, and they're going, as Ben Franklin said, you're going to end up having neither.
Right.
Keep that up. I mean, if the people are so willing. You see, if they really understood how liberty, all of the individual liberties that are protected by our constitutions, if people really understood how those liberties have evolved, they didn't just happen in 1776. I mean, the founders in 1776 were just the latest, patriots to come along. They were. Each of these individual rights had evolved over time, and
centuries.
On the way, and since then, since 1776, lots and lots of people have died, to preserve, protect, and enhance those rights. So these liberties have evolved, and if people understood more about the history and the meaning and the effect and the significance of the right to privacy, then maybe when they read in the newspaper that Congress was considering a particular bill, and they learned to be vigilant enough to inquire as to the content of that bill, but as they learned about these proposals from government, they would object. They would add their voice of caution to those who are considering the act. And the government then, what happens, Kelly, the government speaks to the media speaks to you. Mm-hmm. And because not you, but right. Most people get all their information from the TV and the newspaper, and the TV and the newspaper are getting all their information from the government. So the government is speaking to the people, only the government is speaking to the people, and then after they have spoken to the people through the TV and through the local newspaper, then they run a poll. And they want to find out, how many people are in favor of bombing Afghanistan, or how many people are in favor of giving up some liberties for more security, and they get this overwhelming number of people in favor.
Because they told them how to
think. What they're doing is running the government on the basis of the results of polls, poll taking. Can we get this by the people? Will the people accept this? Well, that all depends upon how well informed the people are. Well, how do we want people to be informed based upon what they read in the newspaper and hear on the television, or do we want them informed K through 12?
Right. So they can think for themselves.
Exactly. So that they develop these higher order, skills and critical analytical thinking skills. But they're not getting that today, especially in the area of civics. It's if at all. I mean, let's face it. Most people don't even know there's a state constitution.
That's true.
And certainly, if you ask people to tell them what all the rights are that are guaranteed by the Bill of Rights, in the U.S. Constitution, they won't be able to tell you that. And even if they can name one or two, like trial by jury or right to petition for a redress of grievance or something, do they really understand the real meaning of that right? And how did it happen to find its way into print, in the Constitution? And what's its history?
Well, I think a lot of people get discouraged, though, because they'll open up the Constitution and they'll read that, like, we have the right to bear arms, but then we have like 25,000 laws stating when we can have a gun and when we can't have a gun. In Massachusetts, I don't think you can even get a gun. Well,
the reason we have gun control laws is because the lawmakers are running polls. And they're finding out that old Charles Heston there and 2% of the population are opposed. Well, if that's all, let's run it up the flagpole and see what happens. Let's pass it, because most people, there's not going to be any outrage. Most people are not paying attention. Most people don't seem to care. So the people that you're talking about opening up the Constitution and seeing that they have a right to keep and bear arms, how many people actually open up the Constitution and know about this right and how important it and what Jefferson said about its importance, what the Founding Fathers said about it, the importance of the right to keep and bear arms. Let's face it, it enforces a lot of the other rights.
It does. Absolutely.
So it's a matter of being, Kelly, we need to educate the children with the facts, because facts lead to knowledge. Knowledge leads to wisdom. Wisdom leads to truth, and truth leads to justice.
But I think this could also be very intimidating for the lawmakers, and the educators, because neither one of them really knows the Constitution better than the kids.
Well, you've got to start someplace, so let's get a law passed. Operation Enduring Patriotism is designed to get a statute passed in every state. The policy of every state will be that we will teach the children K through 12 the history, meaning, effect, and significance of all of the provisions of our Declaration and Constitutions. And once the law is on the books, then it's up to you and I and as many people as we can get muster to see that the law is complied with.
Bob, I went to a constitutional meeting in New Hampshire where Ron Paul was the speaker. And I was really impressed by him, because he was saying that unless the citizens of this country stand up and take their republic back, unless they start demanding that Congress acts according to the Constitution, it's not going to happen.
That's right. That's right. And we need to, generally, the citizenry needs to understand
that they're the government.
The important. Well, we are the government, but we need to understand the importance. We've just got to get back to basics, the basics of our freedoms. I mean, America is under attack. Its principles, its values, its way of life is under attack, and a soldier is, and we're all soldiers. We're all being called upon to defend our country, and any soldier, every soldier, is a better soldier if he understands what he is defending.
Right, and so we must understand the Constitution, the meaning, why they put the rights in that they did, because of centuries of scholarly work, right?
Yes.
And experience of what type of government works, what type of government doesn't work. And they found that a republic works, and that people need these basic rights. That at this time period, we're losing rapidly because Congress, because of all the political reasons that are going on, are passing laws that are stripping away our rights.
Right.
And unless people speak up and say, you can't do that, we're going to lose our form of government.
Yeah, it's up to us. You know, we can't, yes, it's, you know, our families and our careers are important, but so is vigilance.
It is.
Institutionalized vigilance.
But, you know, at the same time, we have to really call our Congress or our state reps and our state senators and talk to them about this, because they're not overly willing to take this task on.
Right. We have to all work together and put a collective foot down.
Yeah. So on Monday, you're going to be having this gathering at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C.
Right.
And tell me a little what's going to be happening.
Well, we're going to have an 8-year-old blind boy. After the Pledge of Allegiance, he's going to sing the national anthem and 2 patriotic songs, God Bless America and America the Beautiful.
Great.
And we're going to have as speakers Dr. Alan Keyes. Excellent. One of the foremost constitutionalists in the country, unashamedly so. He and Ron Paul rank right up there near the top, as far as I'm concerned, at the top of the list of patriots.
Will Ron Paul be there too?
No, he's in Texas. They're not in session, so he'll be in Texas that day. It's a holiday.
Right.
It's the day after Veterans Day, and I guess many schools, a lot of places celebrate it on that Monday. And we're going to have as speakers General Davis, who is America's most decorated living veteran, 4-star general, retired as a 4-star general in the Marine Corps, led ground troops in Second World War, Korea, and Vietnam, has the Medal of Honor and lots of other awards for valor and so forth. We'll also have the country's, I think, youngest columnist, a fellow named, a young boy, 12-year-old boy named Kyle Williams, who's a columnist for WorldNet Daily. And we'll have, there's a 8th grade social studies teacher down in Hickory, North Carolina. It's a private school, non-sectarian private school, and she and some members of her class, 8th grade class, are coming up, and one of her students, 8th grade student, will, very passionate on the importance of teaching these things to young people. She'll be on the agenda, as well as Ann Landsberger, her teacher. And we have coming in from Utah, would you believe, a mother of 12 children?
Wow.
And she is a homeschooler. She's very passionate. She is on the road quite often, lecturing about the importance of teaching the founding documents. And she is also the Utah State, the president of the Utah chapter of the Eagle Forum. I think that's Phyllis Schlafly's organization. And let's see, it's only a 2-hour agenda, so I think I may have named them all.
So you're also going to have a map of the United States, right?
Oh yeah, we'll have a map of the United States on display, and during the 2-hour presentation, various states will be turning from the white color to a blue color, signifying that the process of adopting a statute requiring the teaching of the history and the meaning, effect, and significance of every provision of the founding documents has been started in that state. As we speak, we have people, including yourself, Kelly, thank you.
You're welcome.
We have people in every state that have volunteered to deliver a copy of the model statute to a state legislature, to their assemblymen and senators, with the request that they introduce the act into the state legislature for passage. So the map will show our progress, and we hope by the end of the 2-hour period to have pretty much all of the country colored blue.
How many states are interested already, do you know?
Well, the number of volunteers that have volunteered to do this numbers into the 40s.
That's wonderful.
I'm not sure. It's not 50 states yet, but it's over 40.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and word is coming in all the time now about what senator, what assemblyman they've delivered the act to. And so when we start out on Monday, we will have a number of states already blue. And then for the stragglers, you know, those who aren't going to be able to get around to this until as late as Monday morning, we've set up a conference call for them to call in the information, and we'll just color their state blue.
Now, can people watch this on C-SPAN, maybe?
Yeah, if C-SPAN covers it, you know, you make your request, and of course they have lots of requests, and you make your request, and they do or don't cover it. We hope they will. It's expected they will. And but in any event, if they don't, we are investing in a company called Connect Live that is contracted with the National Press Club to record the entire event and prepare it for a website. I'm going to have to put you on hold for just a moment.
That's
I am
fine,
waiting
Bob.
for the National Press Club to call. Let me see if that's them. Just a minute. Hi, guys.
Hi, Bob.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Has C-SPAN said okay yet?
That wasn't them.
It wasn't them.
That was Connect Live. We're working with them for Monday. They're handling all of the. They got a remote camera and they do everything, and they get it on a web They prepared for the World Wide Web on our website. They also put it on National Press Club's archive for 6 months, and it's not the same as live C-SPAN, but it's the next best thing, I guess.
So you're going to be having this...
We're still waiting. The afternoon is dragging on. I'm getting a little nervous that they haven't called yet, you know, but it's not 5 o'clock yet. They may call yet.
You know, this is really exciting that you're doing this Monday, and we're trying to get excited here in Maine, and every state, I'm sure, is. And how is this going to be followed up on?
Well, we do have this wonderful thing called email and the internet, and we're in touch with a lot of people around the country now. I mean, it's just pretty easy to, you know, send a message, communicate back and forth. It's inexpensive. It's free.
It is, and you know, I was thinking too that December 15th, which is my birthday, by the way, is also Bill of Rights Day.
It is also, I missed that. The phone was...
Bill of Rights Day.
Oh, Bill of Rights Day, sure, December 15th.
Yeah, then that's just like a month away, Michael.
Right. Hang on, guys, this may be them. I'm so sorry to do this.
Okay, that's okay.
Not yet, guys.
Okay, can we go, Michael? Okay. And I was thinking that maybe December 15th would be a great follow-up. You know, at least maybe in Maine we can do that.
Sure. We did intend to do something on December 15th, just haven't figured it out yet. You know, a lot of legislatures are not in session now. They won't go into session until January.
Right.
But there's much that we can do to make sure that we get the process started in every state.
Because it's really the people we're trying to get excited, and the people to take action, and the people to talk. And so if they can get all their ducks in a row, then when January comes along, they can just talk to their legislators.
Well, we'll keep pushing. You know, we do have a master mailing list of over 40,000 now.
That's
incredible. We do have a website. We do have various lists that we communicate with lists of people. And, I think there's lots to be done, but we can do it.
Now,
the
Bob,
Internet, it's a great organizing tool. Without it, things would take a whole lot longer.
Now, Bob, you've been doing so much this year. How did you come up with this idea?
Well, I don't know. I'm just kind of looking at all the flag wavers, thinking, isn't this wonderful? But I know I'm looking at the people themselves, especially these young folks in their hot rods and stuff. They're all fired up. And God bless them. It is wonderful to see. But I know that if we were really ever tested, if they were tested, as with the anti-terrorism bill or something more, if they were ready to give up those rights with what happened in the wake of what happened on September 11th, are they going to just roll over and say, okay, Uncle, I give up, take whatever you want if something more seriously happens?
Yeah.
I don't know. And anyway, so I got to thinking that these folks, they don't know what they're hailing. They really don't know what they're hailing. And they don't know the basis of their freedoms. I know that for a fact. Most people don't. And that, it's time to begin teaching the children. Because one day, Kelly, hate to tell you, but one day we're all going to be gone. You and I are going to be gone. And it's going to be these young folks that are going to be here. And what kind of country, what kind of government, how free are the people going to be, in the future? You think of George Orwell's 1984, they had mathematicians in that society. Mm-hmm. They had scientists, they had journalists. But they didn't have any rights. They didn't have any freedoms. There was government watching every single thing they did. There were cameras all over the place. And anybody stepped out of line, they sort of disappeared. So, that could happen here.
So we have to keep our rights while we still have a chance to keep them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep, we got to shore up. We've got the oldest Constitution on the globe right now. And we want to make sure that it stands for what it stood for when it was first adopted, and that it doesn't get watered down, it doesn't get trampled, doesn't get stained, doesn't get discarded, that it doesn't become a dead letter. We need to make sure that it remains a beacon.
And that Congress pays attention to it. What about the anti-terrorist bills? What worries you the most about those?
Well, I don't know. I look at the definition of terrorist, and gee, I'm saying I'm awful glad I finished my hunger strike. With that bill, I'm a terrorist.
That's right.
Someone who coerces others in the government to act a certain one way or another. Some said that was coercion,
So the definition of a terrorist is very broad.
Sure.
And they can put just about anybody in that.
Yeah, they can go to a judge and say, well, there's this Mr. Schulz, and, he's raising all of these questions about the validity of our tax laws, or he's, that's a form of terrorism, financial terrorism. Mm. And next thing you know, they get the judge to come in here, and they don't even have to tell you, sign some document, and they don't even have to tell you what it's all about. And habeas corpus, that's an important right that we have. And it can be suspended, and, a lot of innocent people. Look, there was a case just the other day up in your neck of the woods, I read about it. It was a young lady that belonged to the Green Party.
Yes.
And she was scheduled to fly out of Bangor to a 2-day Green meeting in Chicago. She got to the airport, and they told her that she could not fly out of that airport, and on the airplane that she had a reservation for. And she found out, they told her, and she checked, that she couldn't fly out of that airport on any airplane. And she said, well, why not? She said, well, your name shows up on a list. You spoke out. You spoke out against what America is doing in Afghanistan.
Isn't that terrible?
Well, it's a right to freedom of speech.
That's right. I know. And
so they wouldn't let her, fly out of there, and they canceled her hotel reservation in Illinois.
And they wouldn't give a refund on her ticket either.
Right. Oh, you read about that?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
And I was appalled. And she was an organic farmer.
Yeah, right.
From northern Maine.
Right. So this could happen. And you see, it's like Germany all over again.
It is.
There was the population in Germany. These kinds of things just started to happen. The government said, well, we're going to burn these books, that say a certain thing. And then we're going to take these kinds of people, and we're going to pass a gun control law, and nobody could, we're going to disarm the public, and they kept doing all of these things, and believe it or not, the government was popular. Look how popular it became, and all the people went along with this, and the government led them all right over a cliff,
That's right.
over a cliff.
That's right.
And the same thing could happen here if people are not informed.
Well, Bob, I certainly hope that Monday, and I know it's going to be a success. I know all the people in all the states are going to support you to support ourselves in keeping our rights. And I know I'm going to work very hard at it. And
Good.
I thank you. I thank you for coming up with these ideas.
Is my passion. With that, I have to take this other call.
All right, Bob. We will see you on television, hopefully on Monday.
Okay, hopefully. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, that was Bob Schulz, and as you can tell, you need to get educated. You need to understand the Constitution. If you don't understand what the Declaration of Independence says, if you don't understand your state constitution, if you don't understand your U.S. Constitution, you can't rely on your state legislators to do the right thing. You've got to tell them what the right thing is to do. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.